back here with Ace Attorney's Spirit of Justice, where we are going to begin the trial of Maya Fey, like the 60th or so. I'm so hype, because I've got a lot to prove, right or right or wrong. But also, I've been warned that this case will blow your mind into smithereens, and I'm so ready for that. Because we have a few mysteries, but we've also, we brought up a few mysteries, and I was like, oh, I bet this thing was shot with, a three-pronged arrow. And then we found a three-pronged arrow. I was like, oh, okay, never mind. That solve I had was brought up really quickly, which was kind of the same thing that happened with the twin solve in previous case. But anyway, 9:40 a.m., hopefully Vince got some good rest last night. He and Albie have grown a bit closer, so I imagine he wasn't, all alone that night. They were probably able to talk and ease some of his burden. Poor Maya, I hope she got some sleep. I hope everyone got enough sleep. May 11th, 9:40 a.m., High Court of Khura'In, accused lobby. I wasn't able to find any conclusive evidence yesterday. But if I can figure out Lady Kee'ra's motive for threatening the High Priest, then maybe... Oh yeah, and Phoenix is probably still feeling that back pain that knocked him out, or trank dart or whatever. He didn't exactly sleep well the night before last. But if I can figure out Lady Kee'ra's motive for threatening the High Priest, then maybe... Nick, today, well... Don't look so down, Maya. I'm gonna defend you with everything I've got. You would do well to cease this insanity while you still can. Oh, it's Rafa, never mind, sorry. You would do well to cease this insanity while you still can. As I said yesterday, I'm going to defend my client in court. Well, know this. You shall not witness a miracle of the sort that occurred last time. The moment she is found guilty, you too will be found guilty of abetting the accused. I never claimed to be a miracle maker, because the miracle never happened, but I am good at discovering the truth. And unlike miracles, the truth is always waiting to be found. The truth, you say? Then it seems you have chosen your fate. She was like a hair off of the Saruman quote. This shall be your very last trial. I sure hope not. Nick. I'm going to prove you innocent, Maya. You'll see. After all, you have to introduce the Plume Punisher Warrior of Neo Twilight Realm to the folks back home, right? Right. I may be a defendant this time, but I'll be by your side, like always, Nick. Oh, come on, just kiss. Once before you maybe go and die. No, that would probably weird out everyone else in the courtroom, and you'd be like, you can't do this, conflict of interest. Thanks, Maya. This place is tough on lawyers. I need all the help I can get. Plus, it's always good to have you on the team. Well, it's time. Let's go. Yes! Let's do this. How could we possibly fail with Maya at our side? May 11th, High Court of Khura'In. Enter! Day 1. Court is now in session. All rise! Oh, she's gonna be beside me. Even though she's the accused. Let the trial of Maya Fey begin. Oh, just like old times. Having her beside me on the stand, at the bench, not her being accused. Although that too, I guess. Just, I would be less hype about that. The defense is ready, Your Majesty. Huh? Quiet! Can't you see Prosecutor Salmari is absorbed in silent prayer? Great. The trial's barely started and the judge is already mad at me. He's very devout for a prosecutor. Why is the accused standing over there? Oh, well... Your Majesty, in addition to being the accused, she is also my assistant. The accused is your assistant, you say? Very well, then. A criminal does indeed make a fitting partner to a lawyer with a defiled soul. That, wasn't very nice. Yeah, well, bad-mouthing lawyers seems to be a custom of sorts here in Khura'In. I must say, I am surprised to see you still here in Khura'In, Mr. Wright. And even more so to find you in the Hall of Justice once more. I cannot fathom why you would willingly risk your life in yet another trial. The answer is simple, Your Majesty. I'm a lawyer, and this is what lawyers do. Although, to be frank, I'd rather be anywhere but here right now. Such foolishness. Prosecutor Salmari, are you ready to begin now? Yes, Your Majesty. The prosecution is ready. Let us begin without further delay. Let's dance! But first, well, not like she's gonna dance, Rafa, I mean. But first, I promise you both this. Although our dance will equally reveal the truth, I will cast your wicked souls into the fires of hell. Thus shall the soul of the victim attain salvation. Splendid! I would expect nothing less of you, Prosecutor Salmari. Oh, neat. Please save the victim's soul, Prosecutor Salmari. Punish the wicked lawyer who dares to stop these last rites. What the hell happened? I had some clout from last time. I think I'll pass on that whole fire and brimstone deal. but I'm not surprised by your words or stance, considering what Apollo's told me about you. Oh yes, that last thing I bungled. So it was you who instilled that putrid lawyerly guile within him. Putrid what? He too must soon face the fires, lest his soul be lost to redemption. But I shall send you on ahead so that he will not be lonely when he arrives. That's thoughtful of you. Sorry, but I'm afraid it won't be that easy. People say I know when to give up. Nervous, Maya? A little. Feels like it's been ages since we stood side by side like this in court. Too bad I'm the defendant. Don't worry. We haven't lost a case together yet. You're right. Let's get this everything we've got, Nick. I'm feeling the pressure now. I'm also out of camera a bit. Sorry. Boo. Sorry, editing me. Oops. Now then, Prosecutor Salmati, would you please explain the case at hand? Of course, Your Majesty. Let us begin the last rites of the victim. Holy crap, these are long. Maya Fey has been charged with... Sorry. Cracked myself up with that one. Maya Fey has been charged with the crime of murder. The victim of her heinous crime was High Priest Trust in me. He was conducting the purification rite when he was brutally slain. And the cause of death? Let us review the victim's autopsy report and the crime scene photo, shall we? We shall. The cause of death was blood loss from a stab wound delivered to the abdomen. The murder weapon was likely the Warba'ad dagger which was used in the rite. However, the weapon has yet to be found, though the scene was thoroughly searched. All things considered, the escapee does seem like the most likely killer, but praise a lot. Seems so suspicious still, to me somehow. However, the weapon has yet to be found, though the scene was thoroughly searched. A sacred relic used as a tool of murder. The Holy Mother's wrath shall be most severe. The murder itself took place at the height of the purification rite. The accused had donned Lady Kee'ra's sacred robes, and the victim was there to offer prayers as a high priest of Khura'Inism. Yes, this more or less holds with what we know. The bird's head was facing that way, they were like this. The four lanterns, one of them was broken, and the snow's clearly sort of been like shoveled out of the way around here. I didn't realize the curtains, I thought they were more in like a boxy shape, as per this diagram. But this looks a bit more like hexagonal almost. During the rite, the victim and the accused were the only two at the inner sanctum. Therefore, the only person who could have slain the victim is Maya Fey. As they go, that was a pretty good opening statement. I must say, that does cast a great deal of suspicion upon the accused. Indeed. Now then, allow me to submit this diagram of the crime scene as evidence in this case. Inner sanctum diagram, a diagram of the scene of the High Priest's murder. It shows where the lanterns and the Warba'ad statue are. Nothing seems off about that yet, does it? Except the lanterns they may be a bit farther forward. In Khura'Inism, slaying a priest is a sin most grave and dreadful. Nah, they show they're about the statues right in between them in this diagram as well. I somehow thought they were a little farther forward. It maybe doesn't matter, but was this the actual side of the glass that was broken? Per the photograph? Yeah, pretty much. This side is what seems to be smashed. Oh, that's the whole thing is smashed. Nevertheless. No, yeah, this part of the actual frame is pretty smashed. As such, Maya Fey's soul shall be plunged into the lowest level of hell. The hell of tickling. I don't like anything about that. There she shall be tickled without end for 500 million years. That is a terrible fate indeed. Would the defense care to respond? No. And here I thought the lowest level of hell was the hell of back pain. I don't remember killing anyone, and I don't have that dagger or anything like it. As my client stated, she has no memory of the event as described by the prosecution. But more importantly, she had no motive to kill the High Priest in the first place. Objection. I thought you might say that. Nevertheless, the meaningless prattle of lawyers is utterly ineffectual here in the Hall of Justice, for all will be made clear by her benevolence Rafa Padma Khura'In's insights. So it is and so it shall be. The divination seance reveals the truth for all to see. Is that we're going to start with one? Here we go again. Bailiff, please show in the royal priestess. Cool by me. This'll be we'll probably get some cause to doubt that it was Maya immediately, via these first insights. It's Princess Rafa! Oh, how beautiful her benevolence looks again today. Glory to the Holy Mother for this blessed day. As popular as ever, I see. Rest assured, good people of Khura'In, I will defeat this murderer and her abettor. They shall not escape on their Freedom Express today. What a joy it is to have the royal priestess back in the Hall of Justice. May the Holy Mother grant us her divine favor. Udihara Khura'In! Okay. She sure looks pleased with herself, especially for someone who didn't know what a Freedom Express was until yesterday. Is there something stuck to my face, barbed head? No, nothing, your benevolence. Now then, your benevolence, the divination seance, if you please. Very well. Nana, my robe. Yes, of course, your benevolence. Excuse me. Good luck.
O Holy Mother, we hold this divination seance in your name. Let the eyes of everyone here be clear, and our ears be unstopped. O dance of devotion, guide the victim's soul to me, so that we may receive their final memories in the pool of souls.
So I imagine it'll be the same dance as before? Very well! There's not like a little bit of extra flavor because it was a priest who was killed or anything like that. Well, I guess, Patrol he wasn't a monk. He was a monk in training for a time, but then was just a guard, I guess. Still very impressive, the mocap on this scene. Is this the same song that was playing when she did the first time we met her in whatever it was? What was that? The Dance of Devotion, I guess. I feel like the dance was a little different, maybe, but the song sounds more or less the same. Maybe I'm just remembering wrong. I may well just be thinking of the last time we had one of these. Oh, I just noticed she's got one of their tattoos on her back. Well, I think I'd noticed that before, but we have a bit more context for those of late. Bravissimo! Encore! Good stuff. Oh, sorry, it's not done. I was like, oh man, they made it shorter this time. Good. Foolishly. So Maya, while this is going on, we should start thinking about our strategy going into this next cross-exam. I'm thinking we press everything immediately to see if it's one of those where you have to press everything before we lose any health like an idiot. Sounds good, Nick! I like the way you think. Oh, hey, look, they're done. Good. Yay! Awesome. Let's see this. Yeah, but it'll probably be pretty dark like before. I wonder if we'll get one that isn't like in total dark. Oh, God. Oh, she looks so pretty. Even back then. In the night, I mean. When you can barely see her. Oh, interesting. Okay. Oh, okay. So we're gonna have to... Oh. The positioning of those lanterns seems interesting to me. Oh, golly. Well, that looks pretty good for Maya, though, because he looked away and everything. So the thing that struck me about that is I think we're going to be wondering about which way they were facing, because we saw the two lanterns, of course. It was kind of blurry, so kind of hard to tell if we were looking at the one that was broken. And so if we were facing this way, we would expect one of them to be broken, basically, is what I'm getting at. But if we're facing this way, it would be different, and that feels like it'll be pertinent, even though, as far as we know, they were supposed to be facing this way. I guess what that might tell us is that if they were facing this way, they probably hadn't started the right yet. Interesting. The victim's Mitamar has spoken. The divination seance is complete. Great. Another clearly incriminating seance vision. I don't know. I think I'll wait till we hear her insights on the matter. It could not be any clearer, O foul defense. The accused donned the sacred robes of Lady Kee'ra and then attacked the victim. No. Oh, how very terrible it must have been. The figure of Lady Kee'ra lit against the dim lantern light, the scent of incense growing ever more potent as she drew near. One can almost sense the horror abbot in me must have felt. The facts, as presented by her benevolence, are indisputable.
But that wasn't me! Do something, Nick!
I'm working on it! That couldn't have been any clearer. Looks like I'm in for another uphill battle. The accused committed this vile act during our ancient tradition and the purification rite. Come to think of it, the Wright's guide explains the multi-part purification rite in detail. Right, it says it begins with the transformation rite. The high priest reads scripture while a priestess dons the robes of Lady Kee'ra, which have been purified within this. The document that was thrust towards his face could have been the scripture, but it seemed like there was a bit more he did, right? Like he was bowing to the fires first or something. The transformation rite. The high priest reads scripture while a priestess dons the robes of Lady Kee'ra. The rite of water. The Lady Kee'ra enters the spring and the high priest purifies her along with her dagger. The rite of fire. The priestess circles the sacred flames to purify her soul. Indeed. It would seem that the murder occurred during the transformation rite. The rite dictates that the high priest stand in front of the spring. Therefore, the accused must have attacked him from the direction of the broken lantern. Well, barbed head, would you care to object? Of course, because I know my client is innocent. So you say. You truly do not know when you are beaten, do you? I managed to pull it off last time with Albie. I'll just have to do it again. You intend to find fault with her benevolence's insights yet again? It would seem lawyers are Polkunkin creatures indeed. Polkunnin. It would seem lawyers are Polkunnin creatures indeed. Look at that Polkunnin! Polkunnin! What exactly is a Polkunnin? Someone who's a real piece of work, so to speak. They can call me anything they want. The only thing I care about is uncovering the truth. And Maya. So, Barbed Head, are you foolish enough to risk your life for this so-called truth? I thought you said I already had my last chance. Because my insights are the truth. To deny them is to willingly dig your own grave. Well, let's hear them. What are your actual insights? Insight. Raifa's insight. The victim commenced the purification rite by bowing to the lanterns and reading a sutra. As the first part, the transformation rite, ended, he lowered the sutra. Suddenly, he heard the accused's approaching footsteps and smelled her incense-laden robes. It was then that the victim felt an intense pain. I believe this is when he was stabbed. As his life's blood spilled over, his vision dimmed till finally he passed from our world. We didn't see him stumble backwards, though. I guess you're just assuming that. Yeah, that's your insight, is that when his vision dimmed, he stumbled backwards onto the statue. That is everything the victim experienced in his final moments. Nothing stuck out to me there, although the footsteps, it seemed like they were coming from the side, right? Not ahead of him. Because the direction does indicate where the sound came from, right? I thought he even turned his head a bit when the footsteps happened. Inner Sanctum diagram updated in the court record. Dressed in the sacred robes of Lady Kee'ra, the accused rushed the victim head-on. The brutal stabbing she perpetrated could not have been any clearer. Yes, it is plain for all to see. No, it wasn't me! A sudden drowsiness came over me during the transformation rite. I didn't even get a chance to put on Lady Kee'ra's robes. You waste our time with such meaningless statements, accused. You cannot explain away the truths revealed by the royal priestess's divine insight. How did you end up finding contradictions last time? I compared the insight with the sound, the sensations. The deceased's final memories include all 5 senses. Oh, you mean those words that appear in the Pool of Souls? It looked to me like the bigger the word, the stronger that sensation was to the victim. Yeah, that's how it looked to me too. That wind seemed important, but I can't say why just yet. Something about the fire, maybe, or they're blowing the smell of the incense. The sensations themselves are never wrong, only their interpretations. That's why I tried to point out mistakes in Raifa's insights the last time. So there could be contradictions between what Abbott in me felt and her insights, huh? You got it. And I'm going to find them this time, too. Interesting that they felt the need to recap that. Again, I guess they really figured this was a new enough system that would throw you for a loop. Which it did for the first time I did it, to be fair. I think that was the only damage we took in that first case, was because I didn't understand what I was doing in the insights. I'm okay. Nah, I remember how it works. Still, the sensations this time seem to fluctuate more than the ones from Albie's trial. In which case, I better keep an eye on changes in their intensity, too. Okay, time to point out the sensations that contradict the insights. Oh, were the footsteps headed away from her, maybe? Or him? Because she does specifically say approaching footsteps. Here's the scripture he's reading. Wind. You can see it even blowing some fire there. Footsteps, incense. The footsteps aren't growing, actually. They're not approaching. So that's interesting. But what was that blinked for like a half second there? It's cool that with between this and the video we had earlier, there are a lot of all these like interactable real-time videos are pretty sweet. Footsteps blinks for a half sec, and then incense, and then footsteps, and then incense. Oh, I guess that's just a stylistic way that it shows up. Okay. So I guess the thing I can say here is that the footsteps are not approaching. They're maintaining. They're not increasing at all, where the incense clearly does. That's what sticks out to me. And I could put it on. He heard her the accused for approaching footsteps. Take that! Objection! The victim supposedly heard the accused approaching footsteps. But did he really? What nonsense is this? Is it not abundantly clear? Not abundantly, I wouldn't say. No, it's not. Because there's something strange about those footsteps. Strange? Explain yourself, Barbed Head. The footsteps are strange because the timing doesn't make sense. They don't get louder. They're not getting any louder. And why exactly does that matter? Please focus your attention on the incense the victim smelled. The scent grows stronger as the accused approaches. If the accused really had approached the victim, the sound of her footsteps would have grown louder as the scent of the incense grew stronger. God! Why, that makes perfect sense! How can this be explained, your benevolence? Well, there must be a reason. Objection. It is as they say, even a putrid worm of a lawyer will turn. What does that even mean? He's not exactly singing your praises, that's for sure. Still, we cannot discount this information solely on account of its lawyerly source. Your benevolence, perhaps you must listen more carefully to the abbot's mitama. Damn! I mean, I've said some saucy stuff to the princess, but I'm not a monk. Listen more carefully. What's he talking about? We're going to get a more clear picture of what happened, I guess. Yes, it would appear so. I shall try to refine the sensation. Refine the sensation? I can more accurately gauge sensations by deepening my communication with a mitama. I didn't know you could do that. Why have we never done this before? By refining a sensation, a clearer picture of the truth can be discovered. Oh, blessed mitama, I beseech you, hear me now and respond to my call. Okie dokie. Bells. Footsteps changed into bells. What could this mean? What could this mean indeed? He heard his own bells as he was stepping back. And so what that would mean is that there were no footsteps coming from this person, so this wasn't actually someone walking. It was like a rope suspended on like a pulley or something, with the dagger outstretched. So he was killed remotely, I guess. Footsteps changed into bells. What could this mean? Because Trusted Me is the one who was wearing the bells. Bells? But the only bells at the scene of the crime were... that tingling must have come from Abbot Enemy's bells! Meaning he was walking back. You mean those big things he had on his ankles? Well, there you have it. The sound of bells was from the High Priest's own footsteps. Then that means... If the footsteps belonged to the victim himself, it means it was the victim who was moving, not the accused. Oh. Step ran into the thing. That's interesting. The victim's the one who went running toward the broken lantern from the spring. A far cry from what her benevolence's insight would have us believe. Interesting. Not where I thought that was going. Intersegment diagram updated in the court record. But why would the victim have approached the accused? No, the robe, not the accused. Okay, we are saying that that's what happened. Interesting. Yeah, good question. Well, I can't think of much. Maybe he was trying to defend himself. Please explain. He could have felt threatened by Lady Kee'ra standing there with a dagger. If so, he might have thought to overpower her before she attacked. I don't know how he would have done that if she was like a super acrobatic athletic rebel hunter, but... Still your voices! This is nothing but a theory, and a poor one at that. Be not led astray by this lawyer's obvious postulation. Objection. While his insolence is inexcusable, I would ask that you calm yourself, your benevolence. Is there something you would care to say, Prosecutor Sarmati? Even if it was Abbot in me who moved, it does not negate the accused's crime. What do you mean? The accused was likely waiting for the high priest to approach. Ah! And as he neared, she plunged the dagger into him. It is as simple as that. But if that's the case, how the hell did the blood get all over the statue and in the pool? Oh, well, you're saying he then, turned around and, ran, 8 meters while dying? Oh, right. It really doesn't change much, does it? Yes, it is as the prosecutor has said. In fact, it is as I meant to say all along as well. Right. And that's why you were so shocked when you first heard it. Understand now, lawyer. That contradiction you conjured up has come to naught. Once I hone my insights, it will vanish like the dying rays of the sun. Insight revised. Let's hear it then. He rushed the accused and tried to fight her off by the broken lantern. As his lifeblood spilled over, his vision dimmed till finally he passed from our world. That bit was the same as before, I think. See? The fact that it was Abbot in me who moved changes nothing. Ugh. Come on, Phoenix, you gotta keep her cool. That contradiction I pointed out must mean something. That one sensation changed after Princess Rafa refined her vision. It stands to reason that something else might have changed too because of the refinement. To focus on any sensations that have changed, while searching for more contradictions between them and her insights. Yes, let's! I'm more than happy to go through. Sorry, let me just pause here and read this. So the victim commenced the purification rite, blah, blah, blah. First the transformation rite ended, he lowered the sutra. Suddenly, he rushed the accused and tried to fight her off by the broken lantern. It was then the victim felt an intense pain. I believe this is when he was stabbed. As his lifeblood spilled over, his vision dimmed till finally he passed from our world. Very good. Not very good, but understood. Okay. So in the background, it does look like there's the dim glow of the lantern light on the curtain. There's the lantern there, and that would be the broken one in theory. It looks a little more broken, kind of, but it's also sort of hard to tell. And it looks like there's a gap in the curtain at the back there, so I guess it wouldn't have been closed at the time of the rite? I could have sworn they said it was. The entrance was shut during the rite. Oh. Something about that's wrong, right? Because it clearly, the curtain goes and then stops, so either this is the fountain or we're facing the other way. So either they were wrong and it's open, or we're facing the fountain. I guess they could just as easily say it was too dark to see. Fair enough. Anyway, he said some sensations might have changed, so let's have a look. And in a minute we see wind come blow this one, and it sort of seems like maybe it flickers the candle light to the side, which would only happen if it was broken and thus had no wind guard. This appears to be the same. Wind, and you can even see the flame move a bit when that happens. So that is the broken one. Or, well, at the very least, it is broken. I mean, maybe one of the other ones was broken at the time, or some weirdness. Rafa didn't even seem to know about it, right? So, oh, interesting. Because I even said earlier, what if this lantern had been moved somehow, and that's why the snow was all. Anyway, we're getting ahead of ourselves. I am anyway. Sorry, carry on. But I feel that could be that totally could be possible, that the lantern could have, because we can only know which way we're facing because of the broken lantern. That's our only landmark in the darkness here. So to move the broken landmark could change the scene of the crime drastically. It seemed like they were kind of pretty heavy and probably built into the ground, but we don't know that for sure. I mean, if this person is powerful enough to stab Trust so hard that his blood gets all over the entire bird statue, then they're probably powerful enough to move a lantern. Incense bells, they kind of water, okay. Pain. Well, I noticed the water, but I don't know that contradicts any of the insights, although this one is kind of interests me. I guess if we're saying he heard the water, then it's probably because he stumbled back into it, meaning he wasn't yet, he didn't actually rush forward. Because he looks away from the lantern at that point, so you can't actually tell if he runs forward or stumbles back. To me, I would say it looks like, because you don't run towards someone like this, right? I'm gonna get you! So I think this is him stumbling back, and the water noise we hear is him stepping into the water, would be my guess, as he's trying to step back. I I mean, I guess that's a contradiction of this because there's no broken water. There's no water right beside the broken lantern, and this is what just changed. I'm always missing. I always seem to be missing the balance between overthinking and underthinking, though. But I think this sounds right. Objection! Actually, my health wasn't blinking there. Interestingly enough. Hold it! How do we know the purification rite was performed exactly as it was supposed to be? That's easy. The customs governing the rite are very clear, and Abbot Immy would have adhered to them. Well, that's strange. Mr. Wright, would you care to explain just what is so strange? Yes, I would ask you to consider the sound of the victim's footsteps. The sound of bells changes to the sound of water at one point. What's this? Oh, is he going to claim that she was standing in the water and he rushed towards her then? It's simple. The victim must have stepped in some water. Oh. Yes. And the only source of water in the inner sanctum is the spring. And therein lies the contradiction. What contradiction? I believe the rite started out as it should have. The victim stood with his back to the spring, and the accused stood right in front of him. But we now know that the victim then moved into the spring. Bokonka! That is absurd! This means that the accused location differs from what her benevolence's insight indicates. Ah! Then where do you propose the accused stood once she donned Lady Kee'ra's robes? Based on the sound of the victim's footsteps, I believe Maya was standing here. Okay, so we're saying that, yes, Taras did run forward, right? Whereas my takeaway from this is maybe he stepped backwards into the spring while she was coming at him, but anyway, but I'm pretty sure we're saying that Maya was, in the water. Take that! Until this moment, we've all just assumed that Abbot and Mia, for like the first 10 minutes of this trial, that Abbot and Mia and Miss Faye were standing where they were supposed to be, as shown in this rights guide. In short, the victim should have been standing with his back to the spring and the accused in front. However, if that is how they really were standing, he couldn't have stepped into the spring as he approached her. The problem is the victim did step into the spring. This can only mean that Miss Faye actually had been standing in the water. But if this is true, then their positions would have been completely reversed. Interesting diagram. Updated the court record. Shows where Maya and the High Priest were during the rite, based on it, but as in our new assumption anyway. I'm still not convinced he didn't... I don't think you run towards someone like this, so I feel like he stepped backwards into it, is another explanation. Well, what is going on here, Miss Faye? No question mark. Were you really standing in the spring? I'm sorry, but I barely remember anything about the rite. The High Priest would never make such an obvious blunder during a rite. What on earth? Is that even possible? That's enough! Be that as it may, this does not overturn my insights. It doesn't? Let us say the accused was standing in the spring. So what? So what? This completely reverses their positions, is what? That their positions differed from what is customary is rather curious. However, what does that change? It certainly does not erase the accused's brutal crime. I guess you have a point there. You lawyers are an absurd breed. Never thinking ahead, you cling to the first insignificant contradiction you can muster. Sounds like Princess Rafa has a pretty good grasp on what lawyers are all about. Oh, Maya, where would I be without your brutally frank commentary right now? Is this contradiction really meaningless? But something really doesn't feel right. I mean, if we're assuming that Trucy would never do the right wrong, then this means that the right wrong. The context of this insight is different at the very least. Or the seance vision. Did I take a wrong turn somewhere? I will now amend my insight to account for this new truth. Please, let's have a look. The victim commenced the purification rite by... he rushed the accused and tried to fight her off by the poolside lantern. Okay, well, at least I can contradict that because the wind clearly blows the flickering light. As his light split... Now the contradiction is no more. But the truth of the matter still stands, no matter how stubbornly you deny it. What do you have to say for yourself now, Mr. Wright? Nick! Your Majesty, this lawyer may have raised a trivial objection. But her benevolence's insights have no further inadequacies of any kind. Incorrect! Yes, so it would seem. The light flickers out of the thing. Wait a second! But there is another contradiction. Still you flounder about, wretched beast. Though you rack that putrid brain of yours, nothing worthwhile will come of it. Maya, please tell me you remember something that might help us out here.
Sorry, I really don't remember a thing.
But now that the place I was standing in has changed, who knows? That alone may cause a new discrepancy with Princess Rayfa's insights. That's right, we now know that Maya was standing in the spring. A major change like that could very well produce a contradiction. I should take another look at the inner sanctum diagram in the court record, and confirm where Maya and Abadimi were standing. And then focus on finding any discrepancies between their positions and the insights. Don't worry, I found it already! It's the fire that's going and flicking when the wind happens. We're clearly able to see the broken lantern here, which means either the broken lantern got moved or shenanigans anyway. And the springside lantern, I thought she said poolside lantern a moment ago. So this is the one we can put that on, I'm pretty sure. Just need to wait for the wind to happen. Now, I suppose, I can't place it on the wind exactly. It's the sight. It's what we're seeing that indicates that this one's broken, I suppose, right? Objection! Your benevolence. I found a new contradiction.
You did?
No doubt it is but another one of your vile attempts to slander my insights. Nope. Take a good look at what the victim saw. It just might change your mind. The lantern flame behind the accused was flickering. There is nothing unusual about that, especially as the wind had stirred. No, that's where you're wrong. If the accused had been standing in the spring, that one wasn't so hard because the broken lantern seems like such an important detail this whole time, such that I've just been waiting for the point where we can actually see it sort of manifest. But I do wonder what it means for our case that we were seeing the broken lantern. Was it over here, or was to us, in fact, standing where we think Maya was now in spring? If the accused had been standing in the spring, then what you see here should be one of the lanterns flanking... Let me try that again, shall I? Yes, you best. Barbed head. Then what you see here should be one of the lanterns... Having trouble saying lanterns, are you? It's a hard word, okay? Even in English. Then what you see here should be one of the lanterns flanking the statue. I fail to see your point. My point is, something is wrong here. The two lanterns flanking the statue were both outfitted with glass wind guards. So neither lantern's flame should have been flickering in the wind in the first place.
She seems pretty tickled, Nick.
I don't remember saying anything funny.
I fail to see what you wish to prove here, but
very well. I shall refine the vision and reveal the truth for all to see. What? Why don't you understand? Just understand, damn it! Oh, blessed Mitama, I beseech you, fix your sight upon the lantern there. There's no wind guard at all. It's not even broken. Huh? That lantern doesn't have a wind guard on it. And rightly so. For the wind guard was removed to reveal the sacred flame within for the rite of fire. Then why wasn't the other one flickering? Oh, wait, we didn't see that during the wind. Oh, well, okay. That's... Uh-oh. Therefore, there is nothing odd about the flame flickering.
Say what?
I didn't see that one coming. But when we searched the crime scene, those lanterns had their wind guards on. And that's because the police put them back on. So why was one of them broken? The sacred flames have burned uninterrupted for hundreds of years, Defense. We could not risk them being extinguished, even during an investigation. That would never fly back home. Well, Barbed Head, are you quite done quibbling? If so, then it is time to bow down before this testimony of the Mitama. Nick! Don't worry, Maya, I'm just getting started. Alright, okay, let's go everything we know so far. Maya was wearing Lady Kee'ra's robes and is standing in the spring. The High Priest is thought to have been moving toward her, so I should look for sensations that stand in contradiction to this arrangement. I won't give up. I'm going to find a contradiction that will undermine the accusation against Maya. It's cool that we're starting in with just a really deep, seance vision sequence, and I'd like to finish it before this episode's out, although we're just about out of time for what I usually do. I'm not sure what we're getting at now, but it's got to be one of the ones that just got changed, right? Sorry. Oh, no, actually, no, she didn't change one, did she? Oh, well, I guess, like, it's not just the guard that's broken, right? But the actual structure of the lantern is smashed. So I guess I could just point that out, right? Because the one by because the one that the wind guard is broken, the actual structure of the lantern is also broken, whereas that's not the case for the other ones. So yeah, I should be able to just put that to say, well, it's not the springside lantern. I mean, this one is very clearly intact. This one is very clearly not. Objection! Your benevolence. Isn't this statement inconsistent with the vision? Inconsistent? I think not. Exactly! That's where the inconsistency lies! No, I believe it is in the defense's thought process that the inconsistency lies. Well, at least he's, okay. But at least I guess he's gonna tell us now whether I had the right, bit of insight or whatever. Yes, there was an inconsistency there after all. Oh, never mind, no he doesn't. I guess that was only for the first case. Unless that was his way of telling me I was wrong on the insight and the sensation. That is funny, though, because that spring-side lantern is not broken. And we can very clearly see it. This one is cracked and all. I don't really see how I'm wrong about that, but nevertheless. Let's look for something else, I guess. Unless I just put it at the wrong time or something stupid like that. Oh, it changed. The one on the right isn't broken anymore. Oh, that's interesting. Well, now that we can see that, that's clearly something weird, but I don't know what to put on that. Do I put this one? Because I think the thing that I poked earlier, saying, well, this one's clearly broken. But that is certainly interesting that we've noticed this already. I've noticed this all of a sudden that this lantern is entirely intact. So it's like when he puts up the sutra and then puts it down, he like also turns around, meaning Maya's still behind him at this point, unconscious, and then now he's looking back towards the entrance or something, and he sees Lady Kee'ra standing there. But I've got not a clue what to actually push on here. Because I guess, well, it doesn't contradict this insight, I suppose. Oh, hang on. Is there anything where she specifically says Maya was stating it before him, I guess? Maybe I could say it wasn't the transformation, right? Because we're clearly not at that point. Like, I know what's wrong here, I think, which is that, you know, we see the broken lantern here, and then he puts up the sutra so much that it clouds the whole vision, and when he puts it down, the lantern is fixed, meaning probably that we turned around while he was reading. But none of these words really say that. Like, there's no one statement here that's like, where I can say, well, he turned around, and so this isn't Maya. Even though that's the problem with this. I'm wondering if the point is that this was not the transformation, right? But that, it does fit more or less with everything. Well, except for the fact that we've imagined it isn't Maya because he turns around to see this other person. So the priestess is not donning the robe of Lady Kee'ra, but that's squishy. Well, I suppose we could say the Rite of Water is it's kind of where this is sort of headed, given she's entering the spring dressed as Lady Kee'ra, whoever they're wearing the robe. But I foresee myself losing all the health here, because I don't know how to say that. Okay, well, let me just start from the very beginning with the first, just with each insight, go through and see if anything sticks out. I'm not sure how much more I'm going to learn from just watching it over and over again, because I think I've found the point that they're trying to get me to find, which is that the statue changes from broken to not broken, implying either that it was moved in that very short time, or, sorry, I'm forgetting, where is it they think that Maya is? I guess I should try and remember that. So they're saying that Maya at this point is in the spring, which is why I went, oh, let's pick the lantern on the right, because clearly because it's broken, that means we're actually facing this way. Game said, no, that's wrong. So I'm befuddled. Unless they want me to push on the fixed one. But I don't see how that doesn't prove that he didn't rush the accused and try to fight off by the springside lantern. If anything, that proves that he went towards the springside lantern. So that this is correct. The broken one is what's unusual about that, because it implies that it wasn't the accused, because Maya was over behind him. And, you know, he would have heard her footsteps if she walked all the way around him to get to the other side. I'm a little worried that maybe this is one of those things where I wasn't supposed to notice this yet, but that seems wrong, because they specifically had the lanterns blurred out before, and now brought them into focus. So, all of a sudden, I feel like I'm supposed to be noticing the disparity between the broken one and the fixed one. I don't know what point says what I'm thinking, which is that he turned around while putting the suture up, and Maya's still behind him while he's facing Lady Kee'ra. Where's the button that says all that? I mean, I could just try pushing on everything, but I don't want to lose that much health for something so stupid. I could just hit autoplay as well and have it solve it for me, but then if it turns out that I made the wrong solve, then I'll spoil what the actual solve is. That's the anxiety here, is that I'm pretty sure I know what's wrong, but I can't be sure until the game tells me I'm right, basically. So until that point, there's still the possibility that there's another thing I'm supposed to notice here that I'm not. It's not like I did it too earlier on the wrong insight or something, did I? Is it? I did this one when I hit the broken one, right? Maybe I'm too focused on the lantern and everything. Let me try and focus on other details in this picture. Curtains and stuff. Like, can you see the moon in the background at some point or something that would let us know which way is west? Maybe? Because you should be able to see it when you look this way, shouldn't you? Towards this lantern. The moon. It's funny. Do we not have meteorologists in Khura'In who could tell which way the wind was supposed to be blowing? I think I'm at a loss here. There's a slim possibility that I'm supposed to say, just point at this lantern here, because it's different from the one we saw a moment ago. So if nothing else, we would say, well, that calls into question whether this was the Springside lantern or not. But it's pretty flimsy. Well, it's not, because the end point that I'm getting at is not flimsy. I think it's pretty clear that something's up with the fact that it goes from broken to fixed. I'm like I said, I'm struggling to find out to see just which combination of insight plus sensation discounts that. Or I hope it wasn't simply a matter of it thought I was pressing on the finger. But of course, if I try it again, it's losing more health. And then if it later on turns out that it's a different solve, then I'll have lost 2 health on this on a dumb fantasy of mine. This is the only thing I can think of that is like a direct contradiction between the two. He rushed the accused and tried to fight her off by the Springside lantern. This is not a Springside lantern, because this is the broken one by the other way. Trouble is that that doesn't happen when he actually does the rushing. When he does the rushing, it is the Springside one, but her footsteps were... I'm now a little lost, because I don't know... Are they supposing that Maya started out over here and then circled around him? Or are they saying, throughout this entire vision, Maya is here and just puts on the robe? Because if that's the case, then my broken lantern contradiction would have worked, because clearly she wasn't in the spring at that point. And he turned around to look at the spring, which is my prevailing theory. I have a bad feeling this is not one of those things where, to me, that's the most obvious way to prove this, but they're going down like the list of different ways that it can be proved, and to them, one of the other ones makes more sense. And Phoenix did specifically say before this, I need to find some way that puts into question where they were standing. So that, to me, the lanterns are like the landmark to do that. So I feel like I can't be on the wrong solve. Just, it's not something stupid like I was supposed to wait for him to put his hand down, is it? Screw it, I'm gonna try it again.
Objection!
No, that wasn't it, okay. So I'm on the wrong track, I guess. Oh, well. I guess I'll try pushing on the lantern that's there after he puts the suture down. Like, maybe what they're trying to get at is that everyone else is eagle-eyed enough to see that it's changed.
Objection!
Nope, it's not that either. I've got nothing then. So I guess I'm on the entirely wrong track. Shame to lose 3 health for that. Alright, let me think it through again then, from the top. This is the other thing that's confusing, is because we're saying he's ending the transformation right, but if we were ending the transformation right, she wouldn't be in the spring yet. So not only does what I'm seeing contradict what she's saying, but the insight contradicts the next insight as well. He's saying, we ended the transformation right where she isn't in the spring, and then he ran into the spring to get her, which doesn't make any sense, obviously. But I obviously can't put the insights against themselves, because I think they were just saying, they did it wrong, that's weird. I think that's where they left that earlier. So they're saying they did the transformation right just in the spring, which is obviously untrue because of the broken lantern, which was my first. That's why I put that there first. Oh, unless I'm supposed to put the lantern, but just on the transformation right bit, because clearly this isn't the transformation right if we're assuming she's in the spring already. But the lantern doesn't prove that. The lantern proves that she wasn't in the spring, which implies this was the end of transformation right. So it's this one that's wrong, but I already tried it. I guess we also don't see the curtain in the background here. Is that the idea? Which is yet further proof that he turned around and that she actually is standing in the right place. But these are theories I have, none of which pertain in the slightest, faintest bit to what we're reading here. Well, not this, they don't directly, anyway. Funny also that the guidebook does not mention the purification rite beginning with the bowing and the reading of the sutra. I guess are they trying to get us to say that you can't see the moon? But we don't know that he's looking far enough that you would be able to. At least I can pretty safely discount these last 2. They don't really say much. He felt pain. I believe he was stabbed then. Yeah, real Sherlock Holmes over here. As a slight blood spilled over, his vision dimmed and finally passed from our world. That is what we see. So it's one of these first 3. I have nothing here. But like the last thing that changed was they brought the lanterns into focus. So it has to be that I have to put the broken versus the fixed lantern somehow. But I've tried it on every point, right? Or I didn't. I tried it on I tried it on this one before and after. I guess that's basically all I did. I don't see how it pertains to the other points. But to me, I mean, it's weird because, and we've been here before, this is what happened with the stage lift. They're presenting something to me that so is screaming in my face, this is the the logical twist that's happening here. But much like we had in the case 2, now I'm completely doubting myself and wondering if there's some reason why it makes total sense that the lantern suddenly gets fixed. That isn't that he turns around, or that the lantern moves. And I'm supposed to know that, and I don't. The water being already stained red is a non-issue at the moment. I shouldn't really even be looking at the evidence too much, because that's not what we're not presenting any. Like, I guess it can inform us somewhat, but I must be missing some visual, something that like a hint of the moon that you see or something. I must be visually missing something, because with the evidence we have right now, it makes perfect sense exactly what my contradiction is. It has failed to work 3 times in a row. So there must be something like genuinely something incredibly incriminating and obvious, like that's a visual thing in like the corner of one of these shots or something. Like there's something wrong with Lady Kee'ra's outfit that I'm not noticing, or it looks like it has the mark, it looks like it's started smirking, it looks like it's got the 3 plumes, it looks like it's got the dagger. All that matches with the design we see in this photograph. They don't want me to say something about the fact that the incense goes away before the pain, right? Because I don't think that makes sense. Is my brightness too low on my monitor? Like, is there something I'm supposed to see in the background? God, now it hurts my eyes. Interesting also that we don't see those banners draped over the curtain here. I also don't really understand what they mean by the Springside Lantern if he charged into the center of the spring. No person would ever describe being in the center of the spring as by this lantern. So it's weird that they're saying it that way, but I don't know if that's just them being weird or if it means something. Because there's no lantern in sight when he rushes her. I also feel like the wind has to have something to do with the smelling the incense at some point. The direction of the wind will play a part, but it doesn't matter here because the wind starts and then disappears. So he would be able to smell the incense if the wind was gone now. This is the point at which it changes to water, so we're entering the spring one way or the other. And their assumption is that this is Maya in the spring, standing still with a dagger held out. She teleported around his back without making any noise because that is logic. And he ran at her with his hands outstretched into the water. And then she gutted him right then and there. And he doesn't hear the water anymore. We stop smelling the incense, and then we stop feeling pain because we are dead. This game has Mario confused.
You got Mario confused.
I've been sitting here for like a half hour. I'm so dead for the rest of this case. I don't know if the flickering sensations, that's just how they show up, but these two both do that. And I feel like the other ones didn't. Hang on 2 seconds. I gotta stop the recording and just see what they said. Because the history button is gone for this portion. Oh my god, it's worse than I thought. I've been here for like 45 minutes. Alright, here we go. I found it. Sorry, you'll get video back in a sec. Just 2 seconds. Huh? That lantern doesn't have a wind guard on it. That would never fly back home. Well, Barbed Head, are you done quibbling? If so, then it is time to bow down before this testimony of the Midama. Arg. Nick, don't worry, Maya. I'm just getting started. Alright, let's go over everything we know so far. The weird thing is she never says Maya was in the spring. Sorry, let me record again. She never says Maya was in the spring. She says he rushed the accused and tried to fight her off by the Springside Lantern, which is the closest thing to saying that. Which, once again, is why I assume that I can put the broken lantern here, even though apparently I can't. Hang on. So they're saying they removed the wind guards from all the lanterns, right? So it's not that they want me to put it on the fire flickering, because they expect that to happen. Although I don't really understand how they expect to keep these flames burning forever if they take the wind guards off on a windy night. I don't know why I feel like I'm missing something right here with this picture. Well, let me go to the bit where he actually starts running towards her, quote unquote, because this is the part that Phoenix just said we have to find a way to contradict this. Basically, the arrangement of him facing her in the spring and then him running towards her. It makes it sound like we're trying to look right at this last bit right now. Is there something we should see when he runs into the water that we don't? And is there something that we shouldn't see if he's in the water that we do? Well, shouldn't see here or whatever. Maybe I'm thinking too far ahead now, but if the broken lantern had been originally by the spring, it means Maya was standing in the spring and this person is not. In which case, he stumbled backwards into the water away from her. Which is a thing that makes sense, but we don't have evidence that the lantern was moved. That's a far-fetched theory of mine. So assuming the lantern was not moved, We are looking at the spring now, and we were looking at the entrance a moment ago. And that does mean he's running forward, because the sound of water doesn't splash closer, so it's not like she's running out of the spring at him. The water sound is the same as if it's coming from him. Right, because what I have to operate under their assumption for now, which is that Maya's in the spring right now. We are looking at the spring. I keep coming back to this lantern, because we shouldn't see this if we're looking at the spring. Which is what they're saying, and I feel like I've said that 3 times and it had it not work. But that's the only contradiction I can really summon. But I have to be wrong. So, if it's not that, is there anything about Maya's appearance here that would indicate that she's not in the spring? Because we can't see her. Obviously, they're not showing us her below her knees, because then we would be able to know if she was standing in the water or not. How's that for keyframing? Now, there was a very brief moment there where it looked like you could see the bottom of her clothing and she was not standing in the spring, which makes sense with where the broken lantern is there. But so there's no frame-by-frame option in this mode, which tells me that they're not expecting us to go frame-by-frame quite like that. Like Phoenix was saying, what we're trying to discredit here is what the positioning, and this is the only one that references even slightly where they were, either of them was standing. The victim commenced the purification rite by bowing to the lanterns and reading a sutra. We see that. It doesn't tell us which lanterns, where they were standing. As the first part of the transformation rite ended, he lowered the sutra. That should tell us where they're standing, except we said earlier, who cares, they did it wrong. He rushed the accused and tried to fight her off by the springside lantern. Is the only statement we have that implies this positioning of he was standing outside of the spring and rushed her at the spring. Of course, by the springside lantern are words that ultimately are meaningless here, but it's the closest thing we have to anything that says she was in the spring, he ran towards her in the spring. So it has to be this third point here, because the next one is just he felt pain. I reckon that's when he got stabbed, and then he died. So it has to be this point. By the way it's framed, I assume we're just saying we can't see the curtain door because it's too dark back there. And fair play, we can't even see the bird statue when they're this close to the lanterns, and these lanterns are farther away from where the door would be. So sure, I buy that it's too dark to see the door from here. I guess maybe are we saying that Lady Kee'ra is in the staging? No, she's definitely in between the 2 torches, right? Or do we only see the one? Or lanterns, you know what I mean? Because we see this one, then we turn and it's like, oh, hello there. And it's sort of, we assume that because the lantern's just off screen to the right here, that the other one is just off screen to the left, such that she's in the very center. But I guess that's not proven, and that might explain why they're phrasing it like, by the springside lantern. They're saying we're closer to the one on the right. But she's still in the water, right? Because otherwise we would never have, so we're claiming, otherwise we would never have claimed that when he ran towards her, suddenly we started hearing splashing. No, wait, well, we reckon she's in the center because that's what the diagram shows. As in that's what they are believing right now. I don't know how I'm going to cut this video down, I'm so sorry. Just pretend this moved a lot faster and more smoothly than it actually is. I'm not just supposed to say that she's not next to the lantern, right? Because they're phrasing it weirdly there, but what they said in the diagram is that she's standing in the center of the spring, not out here by the lantern. So I'm assuming that the insight here is just stupid phrasing, and it's not actually they're saying that she wasn't in the water, and I'm supposed to prove it by being like, well, listen, there's water. What they just changed about it was the lanterns coming into focus. So I don't get why I can't pick them. In fact, that was all that changed. The insight didn't even get revised, and none of the sensations changed. Well, I mean, that's a sensation in sight, but none of the text described sensations changed. Literally, the only thing that has changed since the last one is that these lanterns are now visible to us more clearly. So I can only imagine that the only thing we're supposed to take from that is that this one goes from broken to fixed, i.e. he turned around and was not initially facing the spring. And I have no idea how to say that, because I feel like I've tried every way that makes sense to say that. And still, of course, none of this really explains how he got all the blood on the bird statue. The more I look at this, the more I'm confident that they have to be trying to get us to do this lanterns thing, but I don't know where else I could put it. He rushed the accused and tried to fight her off by the springside lantern. Is, again, not directly contradicted, but it's where the point of contention is most strongly brought up, which is that Maya is not actually at the spring in this shot, but Lady Kee'ra is in the next shot. And there's no sound of any movement or anything. So we assume Maya's in the same place behind him. But hello, here's Lady Kee'ra. The wind is there because it's what blew the flickering light earlier that we saw. So I assume it's there more for consistency, and the wind does not prove or disprove the springside lantern thing? Unless, I mean, they're not trying to say that these curtains should be windproof, right? Because that doesn't make, they haven't mentioned that yet. They would have said it. I don't know what it means when it twitches like that. I guess it just suddenly got louder and then a bit quieter. Here's Lady Kee'ra, and we don't see like the curtains in the background anymore. But because they're so dim, I assume they're not asking us to point that out. And furthermore, because if we were trying to point out that we're looking at a different place now, the way easier way to prove that would be the lanterns anyway. Like the brain dead, thoughtless, no even need to think about it way to prove that would be the lanterns, not the curtains. So it's not that. I don't know if it's weird that we only smell the incense a moment after we see Lady Kee'ra. I assume that's just because the wind was blowing the other way a moment ago, so it takes a moment for the scent to suddenly start coming this way. We smell the incense more strongly because we're moving towards the robe, or the robe is moving towards us. Nothing seems wrong about that. Maybe if I just take off my headphones and meditate for a few minutes, the answer will just come to me. I don't know. I just keep coming back to the only thing that changed since last time. The last thing we revealed was, hey now, there shouldn't be fire flickering with all these things that have wind guards, and they said, well, they didn't actually have wind guards at the time, and we'll zoom and enhance them to show you that. And now we can see that one of them is broken and one of them is not. On the right side both times. Because if it were anything else, we would have been able to disprove it already, right? It has to be something that they, like, it would be a flaw in the game design if the thing you were supposed to prove here, you were already able to prove. So it has to be that the change, i.e. now that you can see the lanterns, is what is facilitating that you're being able to solve this. So the lanterns have to be involved, and I've racked my brain the only way I can imagine they're involved, and it has not worked. By the depth of the water that we saw, I think you would be able to tell from here that she's not in the water. It doesn't even let me point that low, though. So I'm ever so confident that isn't it. Am I supposed to say, how can he see Kee'ra so clearly, but not the bird, if she's standing in the fountain? But there's no words that say that. Did I miss something where they said that the wind was blowing from west to east? Or something like that? That would prove that the wind we see indicates a direction? Paratrooper, interesting. So this person has experience from going from high places to low places quickly. Maybe they do want us to say something about the statue, because the statue is closer to the lanterns than it is to Lady Kee'ra in the spring. So you would be able to see it empirically. I've already embarrassed myself enough. What more could go wrong? Let's point to the side behind her. Objection. Well, it's all over. Sorry, Maya. At least we get to die together. For what it's worth. Even though you're about to lose your head, it still looks very pretty today. Oh, Springside lanterns don't get affected by the wind. So that went ill pretty quick. I have heard enough. This trial need not be drawn out any longer. The defense has failed to counter the charges filed by the prosecution. In accordance with the law, I invoke the Defense Culpability Act against the defense. Now then, this court finds the accused, Maya Fey, and the defense, Phoenix Wright, pretty damn guilty. I mean, you have to admit it didn't look good for you. Thank you for not showing me the beheading. Well, I mean, I lost my entire health bar on that one, so I guess I'll autoplay it and see where they're going with it. I guess that's as good a sign as any that I have goofed up and will not get it, right? Autoplay, take it away. Oh, and this autoplay doesn't auto-solve it for you. I thought that was what it was meant by autoplay, but they're just saying that the text goes forward by itself. I see. Never mind. I thought auto was like a story mode that just solved everything for you. Well, it's good to know I was never in danger of that. I guess I can turn the consultation on. What do you think, Maya? Maya, I can't find any contradictions. Come on, Nick! A bit early to throw in the towel, don't you think? But I didn't notice anything wrong with the sensations that appeared as words just now. Well, then maybe the contradiction is in what Adabet and me saw. I think there's something fishy about the things that we can more clearly see now. You mean the lanterns? No, really? Also, we should focus on not only the sensations, but the updated insights as well. None of them were updated. Not recently, anyway. So that's even more frustrating, because that confirms what I already knew, is that it's the friggin' lanterns. Well, now I don't know which friggin' ones were friggin' updated, frig. The last thing that she changed was Instead of he rushed the accused and tried to fight her off by the broken lantern, it's he rushed the accused and tried to fight her off by the poolside lantern. It does say poolside, so why does it change to springside? It's just typo, I guess. What was the one that was changed before that? Actually, the first one that was revised was he rushed the accused toward the broken lantern, and then we revised that same one again to the poolside thing. That's the only one that's been reviewed, so it has to be I have to put the lanterns with this insight just where? Because I already did try showing that this one, while Lady Kee'ra there is not in fact broken, when the one we saw a moment ago was. Oh right, sorry, I keep messing up because I keep forgetting that they haven't noticed that yet. Hang on, I'm just gonna literally put it on every lantern because I have no idea what's being got at here.
Objection! Objection!
Did that just work? That's the first thing I did! Damn it, it did! Read the fingers instead. Oh, I've been here for an hour, are you kidding me? No! Okay, well at least that, because I knew that had to be right, but I feel like I tried that like thrice now. Why didn't it work the other times? Oh, you gotta be kidding me. At least that puts me at ease somewhat that I wasn't wrong. Oh, just kidding me. As we'll go on the channel, there's gonna be more Fire and 3 Houses are burned when Assassin's only one. Goodbye. What the endurance loses, so 28 altogether. Well, I guess it's on each hit, so 7 will do. Well, it depends if it rounds it up or down. If it rounds down, it's each of those 7 hits of 7 is doing 3. That's a total of 3, 6, 9, 12 altogether, so she'll handle like 2 more turns of that. Anyway, it's time to run because everyone else is running.